Hello, I'm Stephanie McKeith. This is Cancer Coach Chat, and this show is about being informed, sorting through information that could align with your beliefs, and applying them through your cancer journey. Purpose is to give you one topic, one insight, and one resource at a time in 30 minutes or less. So today we're going to talk to Sylvie Beljanski about her foundation. She started actually as a result of her father's work, research done by the late Mirko Beljanski. He was one of the first green molecular biologists, and I want you to explain what a green molecular biologist even is. But he revealed that natural molecules can selectively target cancer cells and work alongside many chemotherapy drugs. So before we get into that, before we get into what green molecular even means, why is it such a big deal what your dad went through? Why was it so hard for his work to come forth?
Well,
what were his hang-ups?
Thank you, Stephanie, for having me this morning, and thank you for explaining so well, actually, what my father's work is about, was about. Indeed, he has been coined as a first green molecular biologist because he was a PhD in molecular biology at the Pasteur Institute. And at the time, back in the 60s, 70s, 80s, everybody was looking at the DNA as the understanding and decoding the DNA as a solution for everything. And he said, no, the environment also affects our DNA. And he really was the first one to measure how some environmental toxins destabilize our DNA. So in a way, he was at the very, very beginning of what is now known epigenetic. And this advance led him, because he was really at the forefront of this new research, epigenetic at the time, that led him to find natural molecules that would do exactly the opposite of carcinogens. That is, recognize the cells which have been destabilized, whose DNA has been destabilized, and to selectively prevent the duplication of those cells.
So you mentioned environmental toxins. What are those to somebody that might not understand what's influencing them?
There are plenty of environmental toxins, unfortunately. I mean, the air we breathe, the food we eat, the water we drink, everything now is polluted. And cumulatively, all those sources of pollution induce cancer. So you are being told, this is very small. This amount of, for example, of radiation at the dentist is very small. The amount of radiation that you get at the airport is very small. Nothing is going by itself to induce cancer, but it is cumulatively one thing after another. At the end of the day, you get a lot of sources of destabilization, and they cumulatively induce cancer. And that's why we see so many cancer, more and more cancer. If it was purely genetics, the number of cancer would not grow, but we see more and more cancer.
So that's what epigenetics is then. When you refer to epigenetics, is these environmental toxins or stressors affecting our DNA. So what we're exposed to, what we engage in, the types of foods that we eat, those are all influencing potential cancer diagnosis, because our genes.
How the environment influence our genes? Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And because he was really studying that at a time where people were not looking at natural molecules, they were all about the genetic code. And he found a number of molecules that are able to do the opposite of carcinogens. And because they recognize the cells whose DNA has been destabilized by environmental toxins, he found a number of compounds that are able to fight cancer cells without touching healthy cells. They are selective in their action. This selectivity means, first, that there will be no toxicity for healthy cells, no side effect. And also, because it is targeting the cells whose DNA has been destabilized, it is going to go wherever it needs to go. So it doesn't matter if you are a man or a woman. It doesn't matter if we are speaking of a breast cancer, of a prostate cancer, of an ovarian cancer, of a lung cancer, brain cancer. Those little molecules are going to recognize the modified cells by the environment and target those cells and prevent the duplication of those cells.
And what was the time frame your dad was working on this?
So he was working on that, let's say, from the late 60s to the mid 90s. And he got very successful with that. He published all his results. He gave a lot of conferences to a lot of French doctors who were, enthralled to have natural molecules without side effects, who were working effective on all their cancer patients. So he got a lot of success with a number of French doctors. And one day, one doctor called him and said, hey, I need to see you because we have a very special patient here. And it was the French president, François Mitterrand, who had been diagnosed with advanced prostate cancer. The official surgeon said that the cancer had spread everywhere and there was no way that the president would be able to finish his second term. The terms were 7 years at the time. But Mitterrand had a mistress who knew one of the doctors who were working with my father, and that's how Mitterrand started to take the products. And Mitterrand was able to finish his second term against all odds. But that puts holistic and natural medicine on the spotlight. And a lot of people involved in the government and also in pharmaceutical companies were absolutely furious. That to see that, it was showing the world, because, everybody knew what the president was doing, that natural molecules could do better than the official prognostic.
So your dad was working with molecules and compounds that were going against the modern medicine pharmaceutical industry. Exactly. And with the spotlight on him, because he was working with the French president, brought more attention to the work that he was doing. With that attention, all of the good attention, also came the bad attention from the pharmaceutical industry, who was threatened by his work.
They did not forgive him his success. And after Mitterrand finally passed away, they sent the French army to destroy my father, his life. They radiated him, and they absolutely did whatever they could to wipe his research, to make it absolutely disappear.
So what happened to your father?
So he was radiated. They told him to stay in the laboratory. They did not present him to the judge right away. They told him to stay overnight because it was too late to take him to the judge. And they put some gas in the laboratory. And 4 months later, my father was a very healthy man. He was in his 70s and very healthy. Was diagnosed with leukemia, myeloid leukemia, and there was no more product because they had seized everything.
Oh no!
So his own products that he had developed for years were not available for him when he did them.
Oh, I'm so sorry. This is what led you to
Yeah,
your
yeah,
mission.
yeah. I was, I am a third generation, I had 3 generations of scientists behind me.
Yeah.
And I said, no, I'm not going to be a scientist. I'm not going to get involved in research. But I was so shocked by the violence after they went after my father that I said something has to be done. And I grew up seeing how those products were helping so many people. So I said, this cannot disappear. I mean, I cannot allow barbarians to destroy all this knowledge. And that's why I came to the States. And I have to say, I'm very grateful to the United States to have given this to me and also to this research a second chance. Here, we created a non-for-profit organization, 501c3, located in New York, and we have been able to continue the research, creating partnerships with universities like Columbia University or Kansas University Medical Center. And those partnerships have led to new publications that absolutely confirm my father's work and even go beyond with new mechanism of actions and new applications. So that's actually from the research point of view, it was a beautiful development, although it's difficult to forgive and forget.
Yeah. So was it difficult for you to pick up his research here in the United States? Because we're very pharmaceutically driven here too.
Yes, but I have to say that I have received a very good, this has been very well received, actually. The scientists I met were all very impressed with the publications of my father. He left 133 papers in peer review magazines that were, of excellent quality. And they were actually interested in carrying on this research. It has not been very difficult, actually.
So they carried on everything that he had already.
Yes, so we continued with the plant extracts that my father had developed, and we were able to work on prostate cancer at Columbia University. We were able to show that, for example, 2 of my father's extracts, the Paopera and the Revolfia vomitoria, were working on different stages of cancer, from inflammation to full-blown cancer to advanced cancer which doesn't respond to hormonal therapy, and even cancer stem cells. And then we worked also with Kansas University Medical Center with the same plant extracts on ovarian and pancreatic cancer. And we also had similar results, and we were also able to show the synergy of action with chemotherapies, different chemotherapies. And that's very important because people don't want to choose between their conventional treatment and what they are taking on the side. But when they can add to the effectivity of chemotherapy without adding any toxicity and have results even when there is resistance to chemotherapy, that's a great addition. And, everything is published. Now, all those publications are on the website of the foundation, beljanski.org. And people can, access that for free, download that, print that, bring that to their doctors and start a conversation with their doctor. And the doctor cannot say, well, I don't know anything about that, don't take anything natural, just do what I am doing, because then you can, return the table and say, well, here is a science, doctor. What do you have to say? The synergy is demonstrated. There is an activity on pancreatic cancer, which is demonstrated. Why? Where is the science saying I should not do it?
So do you have comparison of somebody who is going through conventional chemotherapy treatment versus somebody who is just taking a natural route?
So the research on cancer have been done on animals. You cannot do research on humans. It would not be possible with natural supplements. Only drugs can be studied on humans. But there are little fragments of RNA that my father perfected, and we were able to have a clinical trial with that at Cancer Treatment Centers of America with people with different kind of cancer, different kind of chemotherapies, and they were all at the verge of thrombocytopenia. And during the clinical trial, nobody developed thrombocytopenia, and nobody had to stop their rounds of chemotherapy. So thrombocytopenia is a loss of platelets. Right. And generally, when you are at the verge of thrombocytopenia and you continue to have chemotherapies, then you get thrombocytopenia. And thrombocytopenia means bleeding, and that's a very, very bad condition. And you have to stop generally the chemotherapies. And we were able to avoid that to all the patients who took the little fragments of RNA.
It's amazing. What were the types of cancer that were followed in that study?
There were, like 17 different kinds of cancer.
So it wasn't just one in particular. It wasn't just prostate or breast cancer. It was a wide range of various cancers that you were dealing with.
No, absolutely. What those little fragments are doing, they are the chemotherapy. It works at the level of the DNA of the bone marrow, supporting the bone marrow.
So this is actually very beneficial for somebody who is going through chemotherapy. This is absolutely something that should be taken into consideration to support their treatment, because when you're considering chemotherapy, that is a substance that wipes everything out of the system, the bone marrow, and it depresses your immune system to the point where it's kind of a wait and see process to see what happens and what comes back, what's able to stabilize after you're done with your treatment. But if you are integrating this with these types of supplements, then you can support the healthy cells in better chance of having a more positive outcome from the chemotherapy.
Absolutely. The oncologist was absolutely delighted at the end of the clinical trial. And we have a very nice publication from Cancer Treatment Centers of America, which is available again on beljanski.org.
So this is something that anybody can go to your website to and print these publications out and share it with their oncology team or whoever they're seeking cancer treatment for, and have the doctor understand a little bit better. So if the doctor is willing, is it something that they need to consult with your organization? Can they purchase these products on their own? How does that work?
Yes, indeed, there is the research doesn't come from a vacuum. You have to have products available to have some product to research. So yes, Maison Beljanski is a company who has provided all the samples that have been used for research, and the compounds can be purchased on the website of Maison Beljanski. And there is also a professional line which is available for doctors.
So there is an outlet for doctors to gather
Yes.
their research as well. Okay.
Absolutely, and the specific strengths of products. Absolutely.
So they know how to take it. So is there a specific way? Is it a general recommendation? Is it per individual? Is it something that the doctor needs to help guide them? Can a patient just take this on their own?
So it is supplements. Okay, so yes, patients can take that on their own. However, once again, there is the professional line where which is stronger, and we provide, at the foundation, we provide some training for doctors who are interested in learning more, health professionals who are interested in learning more about the use of those products. But in my book, Winning the War on Cancer, where I tell the story, I told you, just told you about Mitterrand and how all these new things started all over again in the States. At the end of the book, I have the notes of Dr. Markovich. Dr. Markovich was a very good friend of my father, and he wrote, as a medical doctor, what was his protocols for different kinds of cancer, how many capsules of this, of that he was giving. And his widow was kind enough to give to the foundation his notes, and I republished them at the end of my book.
Perfect.
So that's a beginning. It's not something. It's always better to have a health professional that gives you an individual, follows you, gives you an individual follow-up and care. But at the beginning, at least that's an indication.
Sure. So this book, we can direct people to purchase this book so they can read through it and have a better understanding of what they're working with. And I want to point out too that these are natural supplements. These are not laboratory created synthetic versions of the plant. These are all nutraceutical substances that you are offering, correct?
Absolutely. There is absolutely nothing synthetic here. And I believe that's the key also of the lack of toxicity. One of the reasons why, we are 50 years ago, Nixon declared the war on cancer, and now we have more cancers than ever. And the World Health Organization is projecting that the numbers are going to double by 2040. So, and nothing is done about education, nothing is done about prevention. It's all about, giving people some synthetic molecules. And we see that, this is in a way failing. But that's where, how pharmaceutical companies are making their money because they can patent those synthetic molecules. And it's not possible to patent natural molecules. So you cannot patent nature. It's not, you don't invent nature.
Yes.
And because it cannot be patented, it is of no interest to pharmaceutical companies. But it doesn't mean that it's not the key of our well-being and of our health.
Right. And just because it can't be patented doesn't mean that we're not doing research on it. So this is not, it's not random supplements on a general list of recommendations that you're giving clients or the general public. This is researched and documented studies being done on natural plant compounds that are proven to be effective.
And I do believe that it is so important to have this institution like the foundation, Beljanski Foundation, doing this kind of research, because pharmaceutical companies having no interest, there is very little research done, as not enough research done on natural compounds, because supplement companies have no incentive to invest a lot in research. And it all goes to the credibility of natural and holistic medicine. Without serious research done by academic institutions and published in peer-reviewed papers, then it's very easy to say, well, it's not proven, and dismiss the entire thing as a little bit hocus pocus and quackery.
Yeah.
But when it is published by academic institutions, then it's, it's another discussion.
So you've already covered that base. And another base that you're covering is the educational piece. So we might not be receiving that from the cancer industry as a whole, but you offer educational seminars and workshops on a regular basis.
Yes, we have a monthly Healthy Tuesdays on different topics, and we are inviting every month a different guest also, and addressing different topics, but always from a holistic point of view. And for example, this month we are going to present on liver health. And of course, liver cancer, because there are a kind of epidemic of liver disease and fatty liver disease and cirrhosis and liver cancer, which is not well treated by pharmaceutical companies.
And you do this virtually, so anybody can attend, correct?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay, and they can register on your website, on the foundation's page?
On the Beljanski Foundation website, absolutely.
Okay, and you work with different physicians or specialists all over, correct?
Yes, we are working with health professionals in Europe and here in the States. And we have a CME also for doctors who want to have 1 hour of credit towards continuing education. And we offer webinars also for professions. And when professionals, have questions, we are always there for them.
Great. So you are covering everything then. So we have extended past the pharmaceutical only version of treating cancer. And regardless if somebody's doing this from a natural standpoint or taking conventional and they want to integrate both, this is something that could be used by potentially anybody who has a cancer diagnosis, in addition to all of the information and the education that you're providing to the community. So you're all encompassed when it comes to supporting the natural health side of treating cancer.
We try.
Yeah. Well, thank you. It's greatly appreciated. So I'll connect, you're welcome. I will connect all of your a link to the book and to your website so that people can check out your products as well as your webinars and workshops and purchase the book so you have a better idea and understanding of the Beljanski Foundation.
Thank you.
Thank you
So much.
You're welcome.